Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month. Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month.
The Game Boy, the Xbox, the PlayStation 4. Gotta press pause cause your mom's at my door.
Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month.
We game all month, give out points and sorts. Better look out, it's another Switch port.
Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month. Beat of the month.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Beat of the Month podcast. This is episode 2, and the theme of the month for July was Ladies' Night, where we focused on women in video games. So any video game that had a female main character that you played as. And my name is Brian. I am joined today with Melbro.
What's up, everybody?
Emil.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Darkside.
What's going on?
Bash.
Hey, what's up?
Muff.
Bib up, Master Chief.
And Spiral.
What's going on?
All right, so we're going to kick things off with first the games that we played in the month of July that had that theme, Ladies' Night, Women in Video Games. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. The first game I played
Brian,
was, yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Thank you. So I started with Last of Us Left Behind. So last month I just finished up the first
choice.
Last of Us in preparation for Last of Us 2. And I had never played the DLC before. Melbro talked about it a bit last month, so I won't go into too much detail. I thought it was pretty fun. It was about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. Just gave a little more backstory with Ellie, primarily how she got infected, and then with one of her friends that she had grown a relationship with. If I would have paid $10 for it, I might have been a little disappointed. But because it came for free with the remastered version, I thought it was pretty fun to play with. I would say if you played the first game and you have access to Left Behind and you haven't played the second game yet, it's definitely worth a playthrough.
I don't think it would be worth like $10 though. I think that's kind of steep for that. I mean, I guess you probably want to get the full experience, but yes, it was really slow compared to the mainline game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you've got access to it, it's worth a playthrough. But yeah, $10 on its own, it's a bit steep.
So when you say Ellie got infected, is that like zombie stuff?
Yeah, so The Last of Us is all about this infection that breaks out. So in the beginning of the first game, the focus is on Joel, and then he ends up meeting up with Ellie, and then he finds out that Ellie had got infected at some point. It's pretty much the only person in the world that has immunity to this infection. So the DLC gives you the backstory of how exactly she got infected.
So she's infected, but she's immune to the infection?
Yeah, exactly.
So she's just carrying it?
They don't really go into that at all, which kind of leads me into the next one. So I played through Last of Us 2, and not going to get into too much detail on that just because there's a lot of spoilers. But yeah, they don't really get into like if she can, infect other people or anything like that. So it's just more like she's immune to it. So I guess she's not really infected herself, but she's immune to the infection.
So she's not infected.
She is not infected. She is immune to the infection, or maybe she's infected and it's lying dormant in her system. Yeah, they really don't go too much into that. But with The Last of Us 2, again, not going to get into a whole lot of detail, and we actually are going to have a separate episode where we just talk about all the details of Last of Us 2. Just to go kind of very briefly into it, there's really not a whole lot of gameplay changes from the first game. But, there was a lot of negative hype around this game when it first came out.
Haters.
Yeah, really. I mean, it was an amazing game. Definitely worth playing. If you liked the first one and you were kind of scared off by some of the negative buzz that was surrounding it, I mean, it's 100% worth a playthrough.
What was the negative stuff going on about that game?
I think people just didn't like the way the story. People didn't like the turns that the story had took, and that's kind of why it was review bombed on a lot of sites. People just were unhappy about the way the story went.
Was it like some political shit? Because usually like things that are review bombed, there's like a political angle to it.
I'm sure there was, and a lot of the reviews that were out there, were like right after the game was released, so it's not like it's not even possible for them to have beaten the game to review it. So I'm sure that it was for political, bullshit. I'm sure it was for, some of the leaks that went out there. People just weren't happy with the way the story went, so they're like, I'm gonna hate on this. But one of the greatest games of all time. Everyone agrees with me.
Shit.
No, I definitely agree.
You
And
talking
that's
about
one of
Tecmo Super Bowl?
one other thing that's on The Last of Us 2 to kind of tie back to the ladies' night theme. I feel like in most games, right, you have ladies that are kind of like these delicate flowers that need to be protected and saved. But like in this game, the women character was like just badass all throughout the game, and I thought that was dope, and it was just an amazing game to play through. I agree with Darkseid. 10 out of 10.
Darkseid is a
Dang.
delicate flower.
I am.
Used to be.
I need to be held constantly. Moving on.
So then the next game I played this one with Melbro. We jumped onto Streets of Rage 4, and we did a playthrough of that. So we talked about that a bit last month. Bash had played through that. So I don't have a whole lot to add. In general, the beat 'em up genre, was pretty much dead for a long time. It got a little bit of a revival there was a lot of the River City Ransom had a lot of spin-off games lately. So Streets of Rage 4 kind of just builds on that, kind of like, hearkening back to this dead genre. And I mean, it was fun, but after playing through it once, which was about a 3-hour play session, I don't know that I'll ever really go back to it again. I mean, it didn't do anything amazing to elevate the genre to where I think this, there's going to be all these beat 'em up games that are coming out like pretty consistently now. And then I know Darkseid, you played it too. So I guess Darkseid, Melvin, you have any more thoughts on that?
I would just say that I agree with you. It was fun, for like a one-off. It didn't really inspire me to want to play more or to, go back to it at any point. It just was kind of, okay, it's fun. Now it's done. I would play it again if somebody else wanted to play it, but I'm not compelled to.
Yeah, I guess I kind of agree with that. I would play it again, but it would have to be in a co-op setting. I think that game like really built to play with a friend. That's not like something you really want to play solo. But just from a nostalgia standpoint, like it had a lot of the original characters that you saw from the old ones. The music was very similar to what you saw in the old ones. So if you are a fan of Streets of Rage at all, definitely check it out. It's going to bring back a lot of those nostalgia feelings.
Is it still like the side-scrolling beat 'em up type game?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like old school Double Dragon kind of.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Simpsons, games like that.
Oh
Games
my
like
God.
these.
Back in the day, that stuff was the shit, man. That stuff was awesome. But yeah, it was co-op was the best way to play it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good looking game. Like, I think the art style is what I wasn't really drawn to that much, but I know Wally, you had mentioned.
Yeah, it looked a lot better in motion. Like.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it's a flashy game. It looks really good. And then, I think Melbro, you had just mentioned, it kind of ties back to the other ones too, where like, so going back to the ladies' night theme, so you can pick between like 4 different characters, and I think there's a bunch of unlockable characters too, that I guess that would incentivize replaying it more. But we played as the 2 female characters, kind of go into the theme of the month, and I think I played as Blaze. And Melbro, do you remember who you played as? Was it a new female character that they added to this game?
Yeah, the black
Cherry?
chick. I don't remember her name though.
Was it Cherry?
Cherry, yeah.
You played as Blaze?
I played as
Melvin.
Blaze. Yeah,
Melvin
Blaze.
is Cherry.
So I could see going back and playing maybe with some of the other characters then, and if you do unlock more characters, I could see that incentivizing me to go play it again. But yeah, I probably would never play it by myself, and I think it supports 4-player couch co-op, right?
Wow.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it does.
So I mean, if coronavirus ever ends, then I could see that being a lot of fun if you had 4 people playing it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last game that I played for this month, I played through Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night. And this is not to be confused with, so there's a new Bloodstained game that just came out, Curse of the Moon 2, which is, more based on like the old school, like the original Castlevania from the, original Nintendo. This is more modeled after Symphony of the Night. And this was backed, the original creator of Castlevania, or maybe not the original, but the main guy behind Symphony of the Night. He broke away from Konami, and he did a Kickstarter to get this going. So I and Bash, I believe you as well, had backed that Kickstarter. This was like 4 years ago or 5 years ago.
Yeah, something there.
And I had gotten it on the Switch. And when it came out on the Switch, it had a lot of technical issues compared to the PS4. So I wanted to kind of hold off before playing it. So it's been out about a year now. It's had a lot of patches. And I thought overall it was, an amazing game. There's just a ton that goes into it. Like a lot of the other Castlevanias have done this, the more recent ones where you kill an enemy and then you get an enemy ability from them. There's tons. There's got to be like hundreds of shards that you collect, and the shards are what give you that enemy power, or they give you like different stat boosts and things like that. There's like item and food crafting, which I don't think, Wally, you'd probably remember this. Was there anything like that in Symphony of the Night to where you were like crafting other weapons or like items?
Not really, no. I think Dawn of Sorrow was the only one where you could like upgrade weapons. Other than that, I can't really think of any other thing like that.
Yeah, so it was really cool. Like you just go and like, if you kill a certain enemy, they'll drop a piece of meat. And then if you, find in a treasure chest, you can find like black pepper or like soy sauce. And then you combine those items.
So
and you
be like, soy sauce is a weapon.
Soy sauce is actually really hard to get to. It's like a 5% drop in one area.
Yeah, that's so a lot of to get some of these food items, because then there's a bunch of side quests too, and one of the side quests is there's this old woman who wants you to make her a bunch of food. So then you have to go through and you have to, some enemies, you only find them in like a couple rooms in this gigantic map, and then you have to kill them over and over to get these food ingredients. But I thought that was a lot of fun. There's a ton of techniques, and the techniques are where you do like almost a Street Fighter move, like you're doing a Hadoken like with Ryu or something, and there was like dozens of those that you could do. And I know they had some of that in Symphony of the Night, but I don't think they had nearly as many. The game had great music. When you beat the game, then there's like boss rush. You can play as an additional character. I thought it was just an incredible game. And I consider Castlevania Symphony of the Night like one of my favorite games of all time. And when I'm thinking about Bloodstained, like I don't really know why I wouldn't rank it just as high. Bash, what are your thoughts?
Wow.
Like, do you think it's as good as Symphony of the Night? And if not, like, where does it fall short?
Symphony
I
of the
think
Night
it is,
doesn't have soy sauce. I know that.
It does have pizza in it though. So.
Bash got me good. Sorry,
I
continue.
think Symphony of the Night might be a little too easy.
Well, Symphony of the Night was not a difficult game, though. Once you level up,
Okay.
so
Maybe too easy.
I thought it was an incredible game, and part of it is like Symphony of the Night was like one of the first games to really do that Metroidvania type of gameplay style, and I think it gets a lot of accolades for being the first to do that. And I probably do prefer the sprite art style. It's your movement is a bit more snappy, where when you're doing stuff in 3D, even though it's on a two-dimensional plane, when you're doing stuff with 3D models, it just feels a little more, I guess, maybe sluggish or not quite as precise. But I thought it was an incredible game. And I'm probably going to go back to it and just, continue farming more items and do the optional bosses and things like that.
Did you play it on Switch? I know when it first came out, there was a lot of criticism about the Switch version. So curious if that's been fixed, or what was your experience with that?
It was, yeah. So I had mentioned I actually held off playing it for like a year because it was so buggy. They patched it, and I have not played the PS4 version to do a comparison to see which one. I'm sure the PS4 version is better. That's what I've heard, is that is the superior way to play it. But I thought, it was fine. Because I have nothing to compare it to, it seems fine to me. But
I think it just frame rate slower on the Switch one. That's like the only like big problem anymore. But
yeah. So I thought it was an incredible game, and I think it's got like a 74 or 75 on Metacritic, and I don't know, it's up there with Symphony of the Night for me. I had a ton of fun with it.
Now, Brian, you beat that in the month of July, correct?
So let's get into this a little bit. So we submit these games that we beat, in the month that we play them. So Ladies Night. So the main character, I didn't even mention that, is Miriam. So she's like a female character. She's been in sleep for 10 years, and she was possessed with some, she's some specific child that has some like abilities and things like that lets her wield these shards. So she's a shard binder. So anyway, there's 3 endings. I got the second ending and a ton of side quests at, July 30th. And then I'm playing it. I'm finishing up these stupid side quests. And then I realize that it's August 1st at like 1 a.m. So I real quickly submit that to the group saying, hey, I beat this game for the women in gaming theme. And then, of course, everybody's like, no, that doesn't count. You didn't submit it. So I'm talking about it now.
Was it really everybody?
It was not everybody. It was, we're in a democracy here at the Beat of the Month, and I'm a victim of democracy. But maybe I'll try and wrap things up for completionists because I've got another month in order to squeeze that in. But that's all I played this month. So I'm going to switch things over to Melbro. Do you want to talk about the games that you played this month that feature a woman as a main character?
Yeah, I think you kind of covered it already. There are really only 2 games that I played this month that featured a woman character were The Last of Us 2, which, I know we kind of talked about that, one of the best games I've ever played in my life. And then also Streets of Rage 2, which, I kind of carried Brian through that entire campaign on my back.
Yeah, most of the time when you play with Brian, you got to carry him through games. He's not very familiar with games.
Did I beat the last boss? I don't remember. I thought I remembered beating the last boss on my own while you cheered me on from the background.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, man. But yeah, it was a great game though. Definitely 2 great games. Featuring female characters. Really enjoyed that.
All right, if that's all you got, Melbro, we're gonna move on to Darkside. Darkside, can you talk about the games that you beat this month?
Yes, I can. So in June, I played Star Wars Battlefront 2, and so for July, I played the free DLC, which was for Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was Resurrection. Not very good. It was like an hour, 3 missions. Very short missions, not very interesting. Didn't really add anything to the story, which wasn't all that great to begin with. But it did have a female protagonist. That's that. I also played.
Ding dang.
Yeah, I know. I also played the DLC for Resident Evil 5, or at least one of them, called Desperate Escape. You play as Jill Valentine. It takes place after the Wesker Valentine fight, if you guys remember that in Resident Evil 5. When she gets that thing pulled off her chest.
It's been a while since I played Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, I know, it's like 10 years old.
Actually, I'm just thinking about it now. I did play that like 8 years ago and completely forgot about it. Yeah, it's not a game change. But...
Yeah, it also was about an hour long. The plot is in the title. It's a desperate escape. She gets her control of herself back, and she tries to escape with her friend Josh, and they literally go from point A to point B and get out of there. None of the mechanics are different. None of the enemies are different. Everything's the same. The environment's slightly different, but that's about it.
Wasn't there a Resident Evil 5 DLC that took place in the mansion from the first Resident Evil game? Is that not this?
That's not this. That you play as Chris Redfield, and I do plan on playing that at some point. I just haven't got around to it.
Okay, yeah, because that's the one because I've got them both. I forget how I got them, but that's the one that I've been looking forward to play.
Yeah, I heard that one's very good. This one was just okay. I also played The Last of Us Part 2. I platinumed it because that's how you do it.
That's what a man would do.
And one of the greatest games ever played. I won't get into it too much because we've already talked about it. I also played Streets of Rage 4 with Moose. We did co-op, online co-op. also won't get into it too much. It was very fun, but it's one of those games, beat 'em ups. What else did I play? Mirror's Edge, another 10-year-old game that I decided to play now. Never played it before. It's a first-person platformer. Are you guys familiar with the game? Anybody?
Yeah, you just jump from like building to building, right?
Yeah, it's basically
It's pretty
the
cool.
plot of Johnny Mnemonic with parkour.
Yep.
Like Rampage.
All in first person too, right, Darkside?
Correct.
Yeah,
I remember watching Emil play it like 10, 15 years ago.
yeah, it was awesome. Brian got me into it actually.
Even though I never played it.
Yeah, he never played it, but he said it was pretty cool. I took him up on it anyway, and it was awesome. I did like it. It was cool. A lot of
The
cool
mechanics.
a lot of cool moves and mechanics. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I like doing that slide when you can run and kind of like slide.
Slide under
Yeah.
things. And,
Yeah.
it was a pretty short game. It's maybe like 6 hours.
I didn't know it was that short.
Yeah, it was not too long. And the only thing that I really didn't like about it, and this is probably just because it's an older game, but it had an autosave feature, and it didn't have the most generous checkpoints. So some of the jumps were very complicated. So once I got to a point where I'm trying to do the jump and I die, and then it would have me start back 3 or 4 minutes prior to that and have to do all these jumps over again and over again and over again. And at one point the game crashed on me in the second to last level. But other than that, it was an okay story, good graphics for the time.
Now, this was the first one you played, right? Because hasn't there been a sequel, and then they had like a pseudo remake of the first one or something? There's been more than one, right?
Yeah, there is one that came out on current gen. I don't know the name of it. I haven't played that one.
Is it like Catalyst? Is it Mirror's
Yes.
Edge Catalyst?
That's what it is.
Is that a remake? So you don't know if that's a remake of this first one? Because I thought it
I
was
don't-
not like a full like sequel.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a remake or sequel or something in between. But I know it didn't get that great of reviews, so I didn't really check it out.
Yeah.
What else? I played even another 10-year-old game, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, which if anybody's ever played those Jedi Knight games, they're awesome. Everybody should play them.
Not a big Star Wars guy.
But God, it made me lose my train of thought because you say evil shit like that.
I think when Disney took over, I think Star Wars kind of lost a lot of its credibility, but that's just my
Jesus
opinion.
Christ.
That's my opinion.
It's not a bad opinion.
Discussion for another time, assholes.
Yeah.
He's pissed.
He is fuming right now.
So anyways, I played Jedi Academy, and if anybody's ever played those games, they're like first-person shooters and third-person lightsaber duel games. This one's very good. You play as the character's name is Jaden. You can choose to be a man or a woman. I chose to be a woman because, Ladies Month. And
Yeah.
you
That's
go
the
around.
only reason, right?
Well, I did play it like 10 years ago, and I played as a man. I believe in the character creation it just says male, female. So
Okay, just checking.
you go in and you go across multiple planets doing different missions, trying to find out what an evil cult is doing in the Star Wars universe. Basically, you have the option to choose different light side or dark side powers, and so you can choose to be, a good character or a bad character. Most of those decisions don't really affect the ending. There's really one point in the game where you can either choose an evil path or choose a good path. But it's cool that a game back then, gave you two different endings. Gave you the option to be, a male or a female character, fully voiced. I thought that was cool. And it even had some online multiplayer, which still plays pretty well.
All right, you got anything else, Darkside?
I do, but I played Gears of War Judgment with Spiral and Muff.
Original 3.
The original 3, that's right. To be honest, I don't really remember too much about that story.
Does that have a female character?
Yes.
It does.
Oh, it does. Oh man, wow. Dude, bro, and the female character.
Yeah. Do either one of you guys want to elaborate on the story of that one? I just remember it was mostly done in flashbacks.
I don't
It
know,
was-
man. It was just
Typical
Like-
Gears of War fucking numbers.
yeah. I had more fun just playing with y'all than the actual game. Game was horrible.
All right.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
I wouldn't say it was horrible. It was fun. But
No, it was horrible.
it did play and feel like every other Gears of War game I've ever played. Playing with you guys did elevate it, but
Grunting and shaky camera, basically.
but I don't know. I wouldn't say it was
What do you think?
horrible.
Grunt.
That's how
Grunting and
Gears of
shaking
War is.
camera like your
Grunting and the camera shakes around.
like your personal life, Muff.
No, Ben, I don't.
Pretty much grunting and shaky camera work and hiding behind objects.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is,
Yeah.
right? So just
Yeah, it's a cover shooter basically, third person cover shooter.
a lot of grunting.
You just
guys
go
know.
up in there. You ain't got to hide. You just chainsaw and just start tagging people.
That's
Grenades.
literally all Muff did was chainsaw people.
Yeah, it just didn't matter.
Well,
Just
you
run
run
out there.
casual, dumbass. That's why.
Well, yeah, because you know what would happen if we been had on the difficults? Would have been getting nowhere.
Wise words from Muff.
All right, Darkside, you got anything else?
I got one more thing. I'll let Muff elaborate on it because he played it also. I played Erica, which is basically a live-action movie where you make choices for the characters in the movie / game. And it
What'd
was
you
okay.
think of that one, Muff?
Oh, it'll probably fail to attract the mainstream gamer. Probably low budget, not a whole lot of fancy cutscene special effects. Probably more of a experimental type version, because you did get to pick the story and what would have been happen. The problem is the English language I have trouble with, so they try to say, hey, maybe address this shit and be like, yeah, let's address it, and all of a sudden, oh no, you getting cut up and you should get taken away by the white coats, and no, it's just I did not want that to happen and change the whole story, and it's very frustrating.
So is there any point to where you can actually lose, or if you make a bad choice, does it just continue with whatever path you've kind of are going
No.
down at that point?
I beat the hell out of it. You said I got completionist. I give it 4 milks.
All right, well, Darkside, if that wraps up, and this was just free on PlayStation Plus. Do you guys know, did it launch and it was immediately free, or was it out before and they just?
It was out
waited-
before.
It was out before. Okay.
So someone actually paid for this.
Maybe
People
not. Maybe
actually
that's why
paid
they made
for
it
it, yeah.
free.
Wow.
All right, we're gonna switch over to Emil. Emil, do you want to tell us about the game that you played for July?
Yeah, can you guys hear me or is it still kind of low?
Yeah, it goes in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Put it in there.
Yeah, I ended up playing Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It was pretty awesome. It started off a little slow, but after maybe about 15, 20 hours, it kind of picks up.
That's a
me
long
about-
time to wait.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
pick
a
it up.
long time. It's a long time. The story's really good, and the side quests are just as good as the main story, honestly. Which kept my attention, to the game. It took me a while to complete, maybe about 3 months. But it was cool. It was it kind of reminded me of like a Zelda type of feel where you have a sword and you got a horse and you have a little bit of magic kind of. So it was really fun. There's 3 different endings. I ended up getting the bad endings. It kind of sucked at that point because the endings basically were determined by like 4 or 5 questions, the way you answered it. So
Like throughout the course of the game, or was it like right at the ending they asked you all these questions?
Yeah, it was like right at the end, which kind of, if I would have known, I would have, selected different answers, but I just kind of selected the answers I felt at the time. And so, I mean, but the ending, I still want to play like the DLC. Those are supposed to be really good as well. But I have not started that. And we had a little discrepancy because I tried to claim it as the beat of the month as a woman.
Yeah. Can you explain how long you play as a female character?
Well, I kind of, fudged the numbers a little bit, but yeah, you play as a female character.
Fudge the numbers.
For about for about 3 hours, for about 3 to 4 hours. I told Darkseid it was like 25 hours, but 25, 3, same thing.
Same difference.
But I mean, the way I tried to push it was it revolves around this character, although you don't play as her as a majority of the game, obviously, but you kind of dive into her past and her kind of like her adventure, and just kind of take her story and kind of see what happens to her and why everyone's so interested in her. So it was really good, though. I don't want to spoil anything.
So you played as a woman?
I played as a woman for about 3 hours out of the 100 hours of the game.
During the Beat of the Month, Ladies Month theme?
Yes. Which I thought should have counted, but...
It should.
You're still playing, and she's the main focus, but as Brian said earlier, it is a democracy. And
how does it not count?
I am not sure. I think maybe because the hours of the lady character played didn't mount up to the hours of the total game.
Oh, it mounts up.
Yeah.
You get points.
I think I should, but yeah. The majority wins in this setting, so kind of go.
Darkseid wins. That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
Darkseid's the winner.
Wins.
Darkseid wins. Game over.
Darkseid's getting platinums. Darkseid's blocking other people's beats. It's all good. It's all fun.
Darkseid goes to the polls every time, and
Hey man, it's hard getting platinums, on greatest games of all time.
But yeah, completionist is out of the question for that game for me.
There's like a million side quests.
Yeah, a million side quests. I could see myself playing that game for years if I tried.
Hey, Emil, did you play anything else for July then?
I did not. On my plan.
All right, Bash, do you want to talk about the games that you played for July?
Yeah, sure. I ended up finally finishing a Pixel Puzzle Collection on Android. 1,000 puzzles total. You play everything again without that little X button at the bottom to get like the full 1,000%.
Wait, you have to play all the puzzles twice?
Yeah, if you want to complete everything. Well, you get 200% technically. Yeah.
So wait, what is that? So when you play without that X button, I guess to take a step back, do you want to try and, it's hard to explain, do you want to try and explain exactly what that game is?
Not really.
All right, I'll take
I just look it up. If you like puzzle games, look it up.
Well, he's like,
Let me
play the
take a
game,
stab.
you figure it out.
It's kind of like a Sudoku, right, Brian?
It's a little bit like Sudoku. So you've got a grid.
Yeah, I like Sudoku, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of numbers, and essentially you've got to fill out on this grid what blocks should be filled in and which ones should not be filled in based on the numbers that are provided. And then what kind of makes this game a little more, I guess, intriguing than, there was Picross on the DS and there's Picross 3D on the 3DS, but this one's all Konami themed. So there's like Konami Picture, there's Konami like theme music that plays. So that gives it a little bit more of a hook. But I cannot imagine replaying every single puzzle to get 200%. How many hours did you put into that?
It said like 90 hours on the how long to beat thing. I don't know about that. There's only one person that put that, so
No.
I don't know. It took a few
I'm
months.
I'm like 40% in, and I've probably put 90 hours into it. You had to have put thousands of hours into it.
I don't know about that,
Darkseid got that Apple math going on right now.
I know, I'm good at the Apple Math.
Bash
All right.
is a machine.
All right, Bash. Did you play anything else this month, Bash?
Actually, I've also been going back through Bloodstained in the randomizer mode on hard difficulty. I already beat it on randomizer on normal difficulty.
And that's where
Basically,
they take like every item
it
and
fixes
weapon.
around every enemy drop, everything in the shop, everything in like the synthesis menu. Like, really mixes it up and makes you use stuff you probably would have never used on a regular playthrough because that's all you can find. So
Like
Nice.
that game, like most Metroidvania games, it revolves around finding a key item that lets you progress to other areas. So is that randomized as well?
as far as I can tell, yeah, maybe they put them like. I think there's things where it has like safeguards where it won't put something essential behind another essential thing. You know, I think they worked that into it, but
Yeah. So you're not like
Yeah.
stumbling across the last boss in like the first room you go to. Like, did they prevent you from doing that? Are you still doing bosses in similar order?
like enemies are all still where they used to be. It's just their drops are completely randomized.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So if that's all you played, Bash, we're going to switch over to Muff. Muff, do you want to talk about the games that you played this month?
Let's go back to Erica. So, Darkseid, you chime in. What you thought? So, I'm playing Erica, and you're choosing the stories, and you're following. Good story. But I started to get this Shutter Island feel. Like, at the end, you know if she's going to be this one really up, all cloaked up and bleedings with the perfumes. Did you get that feeling?
Kind of. There are 5 endings in this game, so I probably didn't take the same path that you took, but it definitely did feel like it was going to be a Shutter Island type thing.
Yeah.
And it should be noted that the game itself, like I said, you're making choices for the character to do. You don't use your controller in the traditional sense. You can use the touchpad on the controller to swipe to whatever option you choose.
That's the only option I had. Touchpad.
You can also use your cell phone
Huh?
to do. Yeah, you can use your cell phone. I use my phone.
Insightful as always, bitch. Moving
All right,
on
Great.
from Erica.
Do you have any other
Hey,
thoughts on Erica?
I said moving on. So next, we'll go back. Gears of War Judgments. That shit was boring as hell. 2 milks. But there was a lady, Spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Decent booty. Redhead, so ruined everything. On to Shantae and the Pirate Curse. I don't even know why I played this. It come up, it was free, that's probably why. And it was a lady, that's probably why. Damn Beats got me playing some shit. But this was actually good. Shantae, she kind of a frowsy, cheerful young half genie. Mixed breed. Spiral, you know what's up.
Did you say frowsy?
You got the English major here, bitch. But then she turned into a killing machine. She run around like Sonic, but with a knife. But was it a knife? It was her hair. And then all of a sudden, she started jumping and got this cannon of an ass, just be dropping bombs.
This sounds like Muff's game, man.
This was good. And the damn website say completion is 10 hours. It took me 18 hours. And mainly because I have no sense of navigational. I was lost as shit so many times in all these maps. I was pissed. Almost had to do a hook job throwing the controller. It was horrible.
What type of game is it?
Yeah, I was wondering
Huh?
the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you
So
explain
I
that?
said
Like-
it's like Sonic.
So it's a side scroller?
No. I don't know. No.
What the fuck is going on?
Shantae and Pirate Curse.
Wait.
So
are you,
I
like,
played.
Is it like 3D then, or
No, it is side scrolling. I played one of these. I played
It's not
Shantae,
side scroll. Side scrollers left to right. This you go back, forward, up,
but
down.
it's 2D, right? Like, yeah. Sonic, you can go back and forth. I mean,
It's like
level
Sonic, and Sonic ain't no side scroller.
all right, that's
Oh
debatable.
boy.
So I played Shantae Risky's Revenge, and that one was kind of like, from what I remember, it's been a while since I played that, and that was, I think, almost like Metroidvania-ish, where you get different abilities that let you access other areas. I could be wrong on that. Is there anything like that in the one you played, Muff?
I don't know what you just said. So you be going and you try to do something. Here's another damn thing about thing. It don't tell you where to go. Half the time I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I start going back to these other islands that I unlocked. Sure as shit, run in, start talking to somebody. That's where I need to go. Don't tell you that, so you spend a lot of time wandering around. You don't know what to do. Very aggravating. But I beat the hell out of that.
How many milks?
No,
how many
you-
milks do you think?
Yeah, how many milks did you give it?
I ain't done. You get to
Okay,
the boss
all
fight.
right.
Now, the boss is decent battle. The boss fight is decent battle. Not the greatest, not the worst, decent. But fucking getting to him, traveling in the final fucking palace, you gotta do all kinds of jumping all over this, and I probably died 100 sometimes. Literally, because you just running into spikes, bricks, falling to pits. It so freaking infuriating.
how's
But-
save states on that? Like when you save does it save at a certain point, or is
There's
it?
this old dude that just shows up in random rooms. Is like, dude, what are you doing here? But you save anyways because you know you're about to die. So
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a Metroidvania type thing.
no, that's what Moose said. It's like Sonic.
Moose ain't even here. That's what I said.
I don't know.
He's still confused.
I played the game, not y'all.
This is true. I did not play it. That is true.
4 milks, bitch.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna check that out. For
Really
4
good,
milks.
man.
That's nice.
So you liked it.
It was a good time, yeah.
All right, cool.
Cool, man.
All right. Muff, did you have any other games that featured a female character that you played?
Just when I was playing with these bitches.
All right.
Gears.
All
Gears
right.
Judgment.
Spiral, do you want to bring us back to a sense of normalcy and talk about the games that you played this month for July?
3 bitches
gonna-
on a bitch boat. Gears of War.
My best.
Oh,
So, yeah, I played Final Fantasy 15 this month on the Xbox One. Came out in, I think, 2016. I am an RPG gamer. I don't play fucking Shantae or World of Tanks or whatever the fuck Muff plays. But,
You talking shit about World of Tanks?
nope.
oh man. Hey, Spiral, he's up on that topic, man. So what's up,
200
Jay?
hours. So it's the first Final Fantasy game I've played in a really, really long time, and I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. On the original NES, Super NES, going back that far. Probably the last one I played, I think, was 10-2 or X2, whatever that was on, maybe PS2. I'm not even
Yeah,
sure.
that's PlayStation 2.
I didn't ever play any of the online games. So this is the first time I've played Final Fantasy in a really long time. So it was a bit of a strange experience because the world itself was kind of weird because it's set in this world where it's almost like our world. They have cars, shops, things like that. But then you have monsters, supernatural. So it was kind of like this mix mash of real life and kind of fantasy, which I've never experienced in a Final Fantasy game before. So it's kind of weird, getting used to it in the beginning. But as it played along, once I got immersed into the world, it really turned out to be a pretty good game. One of the key features of the game is your party, your group of people. And in the past games, you can kind of select who you want to be in your party. In this game, you really just you just have 3 guys with you, 3 dudes. It's kind of a bromance game. They put a lot into the relationships between the characters, between these 4 people. So that interaction was kind of interesting. And the game itself took about I think 45 hours for me to beat, which to me was really short for an RPG. playing the BioWare games, the Dragon Age games, the Mass Effect games, and the side quests, I thought this would be an easy 100-hour game, and it wasn't. It was like half that. And there were no side quests, really. It was just doing these hunts where you go to a town, and the dude's like, hey, can you help me kill these monsters? And you go out there, and then you kill them, and you get rewards. I think kind of like Monster Hunter. I've heard online that it's kind of similar to that game. But I really didn't get into that. So I just kind of played the main quest not knowing it was the main quest. I thought there'd be more to it. And all of a sudden, just ended. The game ended. So it went by really quickly for me for RPG. When I was a kid, I thought I'd play Final Fantasy games for like hundreds of hours. But this one wasn't nearly as long as I remember them to be. But it was a really good game. The character designs are awesome, especially the female characters. I didn't count it as a female beat of the month because maybe I played as a female character for maybe like 45 minutes of the game. So
Counts.
I'm not going to pull an Emil and say that I should get double points for that.
Whoa, come on, man. You know I would have had your back. I would have had
Want to
your
be the
back
first
if I
time you pulled a meal.
But
Back to gaming now, guys. Back to gaming.
the character designs are awesome. Like the female characters are freaking crazy designs. Like I think Square has a great mindset with design of characters. And the party itself was really cool. Your character's really cool, but the female characters, the side characters, were amazing. They were just really cool. They impressed me. And the music was freaking crazy good. Like I actually bought the soundtrack after finishing the game.
Oh wow.
Nine Inch Nails in it?
No, actually, not to spoil anybody, but there were a couple of songs by Florence and the Machine, which I was really surprised to hear.
More
in the
ladies'
game,
night.
I guess. But original songs by them, and they covered a song actually in the game, at the end of the game, in the ending. So I don't want to spoil that for anybody if they're going to play it, but it's a pretty famous song. And I was like, who is singing this? And then I Googled it. It's Florence and the Machine. I'm like, holy shit, this is kind of crazy. I just didn't I would never have put Final Fantasy and Florence and the Machine in the same sentence. But
What was the song?
do you want me to
You
tell
just
you?
said you didn't
guys?
want to spoil it, man.
Yes.
Come on, Buff. Pay attention.
I want to know.
It's milkshake.
It was not Milkshake. It was Stand By Me. So
Huh?
Oh, nice.
Oh nice.
And it flowed with the game really well.
Yeah, at the end of the game, I was actually. This is gonna sound pretty
In
cheesy,
tears.
but at the end of the game, I was actually pretty sad. Like it was a bit of a sad ending, and it really kind of cemented the whole bromance scenario and the overall storyline of that bromance. So it was kind of sad, not to spoil anything for anybody. So the song did fit. And the original compositions by the composer for the game were amazing. Like they stuck in my head. Not many games I play, I wake up in the morning and hear the song in my head. It was just, those songs were just so memorable. So it was cool. It was, again, I downloaded the CD, the 3-disc album. It's a really good soundtrack.
Nice.
So yeah, that was Final Fantasy in a nutshell. The other two games, I played 3 games.
Wait, I got a question about Final Fantasy.
Sure, go ahead.
The battle system. I know like every Final Fantasy game has a different battle system. How was this one?
It wasn't the best, I'd say. I felt like, and again, I haven't played the online games at all. I can only compare it to like Dragon Age and Mass Effect in those games, and I felt like they were trying to kind of pull a Dragon Age, kind of like a hack and slash type. But to me, Final Fantasy's always been turn-based, and I know that's not popular anymore. But it was kind of strange playing the Final Fantasy game that was not turn-based. I do like that nostalgia. So I think they were trying to update it for the times and make it kind of like action-y. And you can do like these warp strikes and these combinations. And for the most part, it was okay. But it didn't have like, to me, the sophistication of like a Dragon Age system or a Mass Effect system. They were trying to emulate it, but I don't think they succeeded at all. But going back to the battles too, I was going to mention this. One of the hallmarks for me in the Final Fantasy games are the summons, where you can summon like these huge like gods to help you when you're fighting enemies and bosses. And the summons in Final Fantasy 15 were so disappointing. Because usually you have like a meter that would build up, and then you could use the summon. In this game, it kind of just randomly showed up whenever it felt like it, and it was very, very rare. So you didn't see it very often. But when you did see it, they were really impressive. The animations were super impressive, but there really was no rhyme or reason that I knew of that you could actually figure out when they show up. And there's only like 4 of them, whereas in the past Final Fantasies, I believe there are many, many more than just 4 summons. So yeah,
Like
that was
20.
yeah. I thought there was way more, and there's only like 4 in this one. So yeah, but overall it was a great game. I recommend it for any RPG fans. The other 2 games I played were the DLC for the game, episode Gladiolus, episode Noctis, which basically are very short DLC games, probably about 5 hours long, where they go into the backstory of those characters, and it actually kind of fits in nicely with the actual main story. The DLC I played in the past has been kind of weird, like it's kind of been separate, like kind of almost an afterthought. But in this game, not to spoil it, but I'm going to kind of spoil it. There are times when some of the characters leave during the game, and you're like, what the fuck? Where'd this guy go? He just decided to leave. But in the DLC, it kind of explains it. So that was kind of neat that they closed that story in there. So I played those 2 characters. I have 1 more left to play. And then the other one I'm playing is Comrades. I finished the story. Comrades was I think what Square Enix decided to do was create a multiplayer version of Final Fantasy like they've done in their past games. It wasn't, I don't think, very successful, because when I started playing it, the online component was gone. So I had to play with AI and go on these hunts and these missions with AI, which was pretty difficult in certain scenarios. I just had to kind of grind it out and raise my level and get through some of these missions. And I'm still playing the DLC right now, so I'll probably be playing that for a couple more weeks, maybe. And then I guess I can put on that next month. And then final game was Gears of War Judgment. I'll expand a little bit on the story. Muff did a pretty good job of going over the story, I think. But I'll try to
You're damn right I did.
I'll try to round it out a little bit more. It's a prequel to the Gears of War games, and I don't remember the Gears of War games, so apparently there was something going on with the Gears, and there was some trial going on. So you're playing this game through a flashback. The main story is a trial, and then the flashback you're going through what the guys are talking about in the trial. 4-player co-op. To me, it wasn't the best Gears of War experience. No really like massive, huge bosses till the very end. But it's a Gears game, so you get what you pay for, I guess.
All right, Spiral. If that's all you got. Moose, are you on now?
Yeah, I'm on. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you wanna talk about games you beat for July that had a female character? We did already cover Streets of Rage 4 and Bloodstained, so I know you beat those as well. Did you have anything to add on those 2?
Probably not. I think Bash is the expert, and I think you went pretty much a lot further than I did. So I don't have. Streets of Rage 4 is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a beat 'em up. But Bloodstained is a little bit more complicated, I guess. But I'm pretty sure you guys covered it fairly well.
The question I had for you with Bloodstained, Moose. So you got the first ending, the bad ending, which it sounds like you made it a little more than halfway through. Do you have any kind of drive to go back and finish it up, or how did you like your experience with the game so far?
Honestly, I didn't really like it. It wasn't terrible, but I liked Symphony of the Night a lot better. I know it's not the same game, and not necessarily in the same series, obviously, but it just didn't connect with me or click with me the same way. So,
do you know why? Because I was struggling to come up with reasons why it was not just as good. Because I loved it. So do you know what it was about Symphony of the Night that just kind of clicked with you more than Bloodstained?
I kind of like the pixel art in Symphony of the Night better, so that just the visualization of it alone, I like better. I didn't really like the complexity. It's kind of like odd as it sounds. The Bloodstained was a little bit more complex with the shards and whatnot, and I just didn't really feel interested in diving deeper into it.
Got it. Yeah, that makes it. Yeah, I went into that a bit, but there's a lot going on with like crafting food and crafting weapons,
Yeah,
and enhancing shards
I
and
didn't do
stuff.
any of that. I just basically played at the base level the whole time.
Got it. All right. Did you have any other games you played?
Okay, so Dishonored 2, if you played the first one, the story basically picks up, I don't know, several years after the first one. So you play as the main character. Then in the second one, there's like a point where you can choose between being a male or female, and it's story driven. So I don't know. I guess spoilers. Nobody really cares probably about Dishonored 1, but you end up.
I care so much. No, go ahead.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
So you end up being either the assassin you play as in Dishonored 1 or his daughter in Dishonored 2. So Dishonored 2, basically, the queen or the ex-queen's sister tries to usurp the throne from the daughter. It's kind of, how do I say, a generic story, but the story's not the greatest. It's kind of just a classic,
Almost sounds Shakespearean.
Yeah, a little bit Shakespearean takeover of like the throne type of thing. But it's interesting in the fact that you can choose, like at the very beginning of the game, you choose to play as the daughter or play as the dad, and whoever you don't play as basically gets a magic spell on them and they get put in stone. So you play through the whole game, and at the very end, you have a way to potentially save that person. So I mean, it's essentially one game with two different paths, but I think they are basically the same. There might be different dialogue throughout the story, but what's interesting about that game, though, it could have worked for Father game last month as well.
Spin-off, right, of Dishonored 2?
If there's a spin-off, I guess I haven't come across that. I don't know, is it like a Game of the Year version or something, where it just has like additional stuff, or is it a complete?
There was a DLC and I think it was a standalone expansion for Dishonored 2. It's got its own name. I don't remember what it's called though.
But I mean, is it tied to the Dishonored name, or is it just a completely different name, but kind of same universe or something?
I want to say it's Dishonored 2, right?
Yeah, it's called Dishonored 2, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, yeah, I haven't played it.
Got it.
Game Pass. So I have that one on Game Pass, and I think I actually have it on PC, Dishonored 2, but I haven't played the PC version. I played it on Xbox.
Cool.
All right.
Moose, another game you played was Gears 5.
Oh, Gears 5, what a great franchise. I'm a huge Gears fan. Been one since the beginning. No, but that was actually the first Gears game I played start to finish. I haven't been a fan of Gears in the past, and I still say I'm not a fan of Gears after playing what I assume is the best Gears of War game.
Is it supposed to be? Is it like highly regarded in the series?
I assume story-wise, or it seemed to get pretty good critical acclaim, at least for the release. Sorry, my daughter's crying in the background.
I thought that was Muff.
That was Dark Side.
It's both of them.
Dark Side's basement.
I'm crying about Gears. I did not really care for the combat in Gears, and I assume 5 is the best of the combat. Just the whole hiding behind stuff and ducking cover and shooting over the shoulder, and all the character models look like NFL Blitz players, and it's just I don't know. I just never was a fan of the game. The story itself is pretty good.
And perhaps the grunting as well.
All right, everybody. So we're going to take a
Airport muff
break,
in the
and
background.
when we get back, we are going to talk about our top 3 games of all time, regardless whether we beat them this month or not, in the theme of the month, Ladies' Night, Women in Gaming. So stay tuned.
Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month.
All right, we are back, and we are ready to talk about the top 3 games we played for the category of July, which is Ladies' Month, Women in Gaming. So we're going to go through our top 3, and I am going to start off with Melbro. Do you want to give us your third game of all time?
My third game of all time. It's not a solely female character game, but I would say Resident Evil 2. I feel like for me, that game was more known for Claire's story. I feel like versus Leon's story in terms of I guess just who I had more fun playing with. You know, when I originally played through the game when I was younger, I played through it with Claire, and just really had an enjoyable time with that game. And just classic game. If you haven't played it, there is a remake on PlayStation now that's great. Definitely check that out. But yeah, Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, that's classic game. I guess I always
Claire Redfield.
played more as Leon probably than Claire, where in the first game I played more as Jill than I did with Chris. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 is a great game.
I heard in Resident Evil 2 you played it as who you had a crush on the most. So go on.
Leon was pretty dreamy in Resident Evil 2. That haircut, man. All right, Emil, do you want to give us your number 3 game for Women in Gaming?
You can go ahead and skip me for now, Brian.
All right, thank you. Darkside, do you want to give us your number 3?
So my number 3, you don't actually play as her, but it's just a strong female character that I always loved, and that's Metal Gear Solid 3. The character's the boss.
Oh, yeah.
And I absolutely love that game, and that character in particular in that game is just amazing. So I'd put her as my number 3.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
All right, Muff, do you want to give us your number 3 for Ladies in Gaming?
Top of my head, Super Mario 2, Princess Peach.
That is a classic game. That's right.
She floats.
Have you played that lately, Muff?
Fuck no.
I played it within the last year, I think, because they added it to Nintendo Switch Online. It still holds up. It's an awesome game.
I think I did play it a couple years ago.
All right, Spiral, you want to give us your number 3?
Yeah, my number 3 is going to be a character from the Mass Effect series. Her name's Liara Tassoni. She appears in all 3 games. She's playable in, I think, 1 and 2. For me, the modern RPGs, Mass Effect is the game series to beat. And what was new to me for the Mass Effect series 2 is that you can romance characters. So you can actually muffle like this. You can bang other characters in your game, male or female. And Liara is definitely one that is a good option. There's a couple others too. Ashley Williams is a good one as well. She's more human if you're into that. But if you're into that alien sex, Liara Tassoni is the one to go with. That's my number 3.
What you know about alien sex, Spiral?
Just what you told me, Muff.
All right, I'm gonna go into my number 3.
Hey, excuse me, Brian.
Go for it, Moose. Go for it.
All right. Well, that wasn't really a great intro, but I'll see what I can do. So my number 3 would probably be Donkey Kong Country 2. What was her name? Dixie Kong?
Oh,
Yeah.
That was great. Man, that was good.
That was the first time I actually, for abilities, I wanted to play as a female character that I can remember.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
she could fly with her
Flight
hair,
ability,
right?
That was the
Yeah.
best. Yeah. So you went with 2 over 3, because 3, she was the main female character, but you like 2 better than 3?
But I played 2 more than 3 probably, so that's kind of why I went with 2. But yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to go with my number 3. So I picked Space Channel 5. So if you've ever played this, you play as a space reporter named Ooh La La.
Ooh la la.
It was a rhythm game that came out for the Dreamcast. And, it was a pretty short game. And the series has lied dormant for a really long time, but they actually just had a PlayStation VR game that came out, which was the first one in like, I don't know, 15 years or something to come out. So I was pretty surprised. It didn't get great, reviews. But yeah, Space Channel 5 was a ton of fun, very stylistic. And Ulala was just a really cool character in that game.
You know my problem with that game, right, Brian?
I don't know. Please let me know.
My problem is I get that one and Space Station Silicon Valley confused for some reason.
I could see that. Yeah, they both space and yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't play either one of them. So.
Yeah, Space Station Silicon Valley. That's a game for another time. That's a great one too.
Hey Brian, I got mine.
Go for it, Emil. What's up?
All right, cool. Mine's gonna go Blast from the Past from Darkside's earlier beat that he talked about, which was Mirror's Edge. I did like the main character, Faith. Yeah. So she was really cool, like just like her movements and like the whole like parkour and running and jumping and doing all those circus acts on buildings and stuff. So that was really I could relate to that because I'm big into parkour, so.
All right, we're gonna move into number 2. Melbro, do you want to give us your number 2?
Yeah, my number 2 is actually probably my favorite indie game of all time, and this is actually a recent game that came out 2 years ago, Celeste. I played Celeste 2 years ago on the Switch, and it just really wowed me. If you don't know about Celeste, it's really a pretty tough platformer, pixel-based game. And the story is really deep, too. It just talks about this girl named Celeste and her struggles, with anxiety and, what she does to overcome that. You don't really see a lot of games really touch on, mental health and stuff. So I just thought that was pretty dope. I really connected with the game and enjoyed it, man. If you guys haven't played it, check it out.
Yeah, I played that one as well. I got frustrated. Some of those, they have like, the main game, and then you get into the B-sides where it's like more difficult levels, and it ramps up like crazy.
It does.
But that main story is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You and I remember Celeste differently.
You want to elaborate on that, Muff? Or, All right, moving on. We're going to go with Emil. So, Emil, we just went with you, but we're going to switch back with you for number 2. You got that ready for us?
Yes. Number 2, I would have to say, I know Darkside again talked about Big Boss, and she was awesome. I mean, Metal Gear.
I set the trends, baby.
Yeah, Metal Gear is probably one of my favorite franchise series, and that story for Snake Eater was amazing. So, and she was just a badass in the game. So, I mean that ending sequence is got to be like one of the top final boss fights in the field. Ever. Yeah, in the field. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Darkside, you want to give us your number 2?
The Portal series, GLaDOS. I don't care if it's a robot. It's a woman robot, and she's amazing.
You play as a female character in that too, though, right? Shell.
Yeah, but she doesn't really have a personality. GLaDOS has an amazing personality.
The robot has a personality.
She does,
All
though.
right.
I'm going with GLaDOS.
Yeah, it's a cool game.
Was GLaDOS in Portal 2?
Yes.
Yeah? I should replay that. You and me were going to play that, Darkside, but they took out the online co-op from PlayStation 3, which was a real bummer.
Yeah. When it was they did it a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah, which I had no idea. But yeah, the downsides of modern gaming, I guess. You bought a game and it disappears.
Yeah.
Good plan.
All right. Muff, do you want to give us your number 2 and not talking about the shit you just took earlier?
What the fuck? Would have happened if y'all was on time and Pat
Speaking of
Darkside face. Man.
Bloodstained was talking about Muff's shit that he took earlier. Muff, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you give us your number 2?
No, you got to learn to talk shit and stop apologizing. But no, my number 2 was rough. But getting back. So, my number 2 for the ladies, SNK Baseball Stars.
Ooh.
There's a
Oh my
team called
God.
the Lovely Ladies.
Oh, that's
And-
right.
The best thing about them is when you played them, you made more money because baseball stars, it was almost like RPG. You earn experience by gaining the money, and then you level up your players and your roster. And the Lovely Ladies was the team to beat, even though they had this monster squad. And as much as I love monsters and Halloween and shit, the Lovely Ladies made more money. You whoop that ass, you get that money. Ladies.
All right.
I
Spyro?
really like that game. I wish I had a copy of it.
Was it on
You do.
NES? What did you play it on?
It was on
Super-
NES.
8-bit Nintendo, yeah.
Darkseid likes the idea of having a copy of it.
Oh, I had a copy of it. It was amazing.
One of y'all still got it. I seen in the collection at the conventions. You, Brian.
It's got to be Darkseid. Yeah, I never owned that game.
One of y'all got it.
Darkseid's like, I wish I owned it. Trying to sell it, but I wish I owned it.
It wasn't me.
All right, Spyro, you want to give us your number 2?
Yeah, going back a ways, back to 1997. One of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy VII. Speaking of Final Fantasy, and Aeris from that game was a key character in the whole entire story. It's the first game I played. I hope you guys have played this game, so I'm going to spoil it, but halfway
Spoilers.
through Disc 1 or Disc 2, she just gets killed by Sephiroth. First game I played where one of the main characters gets killed halfway through it. So that was definitely a highlight in my video game playing history, is seeing Aeris, getting to know that character, seeing how awesome she is, and then seeing her kick the bucket.
Did
So,
you
yeah.
not know that was going to happen when it
I
happened?
had no idea. What was going to happen.
See, I've been so spoiled on Final Fantasy VII. I've never played it all the way through, but yeah, I've been spoiled on. pretty
What's
much.
crazy is that there used to be kind of like an urban legend or whatever that you could save her somehow, which turned out to be false. But yeah, that game was awesome.
All right, Moose, you want to give us your number 2?
Yeah, so my number 2 is going to be kind of a sweeping generalization, I guess, but Metroid, any of the Metroid games, I guess. Super Metroid is the one that I played most recently. So Samus Aran, she's pretty much one of the most notable female characters, and I guess I didn't play the first game, but the reveal was huge. Like at the end of the game, when she takes off the helmet, you see that it's a girl. I don't know if that happened in the first one. I'm pretty sure it happened in Super Metroid, but
It did happen in the first
yeah,
one.
it
Yeah,
did.
you had to
It did.
beat like really fast, but it did happen in the first one too.
yeah. So I mean, that's when I think of like women in gaming or ladies in gaming, she comes to mind almost immediately.
All right. I'm going to go with my number 2. My number 2, and I think I talked about this game a bit last month, but Silent Hill 3. So I have not played it since it first came out. I remember loving it when it first came out. And Silent Hill 3, I think I gave the spoiler last month, but you actually end up finding out that you're playing as the daughter from the very first game, which was a huge reveal at the time because Silent Hill 2 had nothing to do with the first Silent Hill other than, the general town. And I thought playing as, kind of like this teenage female character was really unique at the time when the PlayStation 2 came out. And it's, as far as I remember, it is the only game in Silent Hill, a series that's had like 6-7 games where you play as a female character. So that kind of stood out as well. And that's a game that, I'd really want to go back and try playing that one again. All right, so we're going to move into our number 1s. Melvin, do you want to give us your number 1?
Yeah, number 1 for me, I touched on it, man, is The Last of Us Part 2. I just feel like I've never played a game that really highlighted women, and just made them dope in video games as dope as they was in this game, as dope as they were in this game. From start to finish, you would just see all the female characters, man, just really holding their own against the guys, not just, getting overpowered, but really just holding their own and great, man.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I didn't put that on my list because I just played it, so I felt like I'd give some of the older games more the accolades. But yeah, Last of Us 2 definitely highlights the women in gaming, like few other games really do. All right, Emil, do you want to give us your number 1?
Number 1 for me is gonna be Ciri from Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. just playing as her was awesome, even though it was for like 3 to 4 hours.
I thought you
Her
meant Siri from your iPhone.
No, her movements were awesome, and like her storyline's really cool, and it's just she's one of the female characters, that I rarely play as that like held my attention, and it was just awesome. That's how I can describe it.
All right, Darkseid, you want to give us your number one?
My number one also is Ellie, but because it was Melvin's number one, I'm going to choose somebody else. Even though The Last of Us Part 2 is probably one of the greatest games ever played, I'm going to say Clementine from the Walking Dead Telltale series. There's an amazing character. You see her when she's like a young girl, and then as each game progresses, she's older and harder, because the world is hard, and so she, develops throughout the games, and it's great.
Muff, do you want to pull yourself together and give us your number one?
Final Fantasy 11. You got to create your character. This was my first MMORPG. I didn't know no better. I created me a human female. But man.
Oh, you knew what you were doing, Muff.
Oh no, me and Holy Assassin running around, and the gil that I would make just by pretending that I'm a woman. These dudes just throwing gil at me. I was buying all kinds of stuff.
Making it rain.
Man, it was just randomly, like, dude just sitting here, and he's just like, hey. I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, you a girl? I'm like, mm-hmm. You got money? So much gil.
Gold digger, man.
No, I'm smart. Opportunist. But, I mean, another story. That game was a huge part of my gaming life. I spent over a whole year accumulated in time played. And it was a game I needed at the time in my life, and it filled the void, and it was absolutely amazing. But we'll go into more details later.
You ever run into Thunderpants?
Thunder Britches?
Yeah.
There was a couple folks I didn't know in real life, but Holy Assassin did.
Yeah.
Rainwater. Smoofius.
Nice.
That's enough.
Now, when you say you played for a year, you don't mean you played on and off for a year. You mean your total accumulated time is a year of real time in the game. Is that right?
Over a year of real time in that game, yes.
That's pretty intense.
But it was an amazing game, and it was just the ability to socialize and create, and it was, open world, and you could do whatever you want. You didn't have to go do a certain thing every time you jumped on. You could jump on and go do whatever the hell you wanted to do at that time, and it was really cool. Perhaps a more modern 1B, we'll say, is that Star Wars game we played last one, Battlefront 2, Darkseid?
Yeah.
Ooh, wee Shiva. Man. If y'all don't know who Shiva is, look up Janina Gavankar. Man.
Sounds like you have, Muff.
Oh, Muff, no.
It's the main character from the campaign of Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Unnecessary information again, Darkseid, but whatever. Gotta get yours 2 cents in.
Spiral, you want to give us your number one?
And tell Pat to calm down. I hear her purns.
Oh, sorry.
My number one is...
Don't put her in your lap. That's creepy.
Is Moose's number 2. Same as Aaron from Metroid. So I'm dating myself. I played this game back on the NES back in the day in the 80s. And for some perspective, I'd never played a game where the main character was a woman. And all the games I played, you were saving the girl. You were never the girl. So playing this game, and there was no internet. There was none of that. So you had no idea. She was helmeted. You'd assume you were playing a male character. And you play the game, get to the end to beat Mother Brain. You jump up these platforms. You got like 60 seconds or 2 minutes to get through it. Super nervous doing this. Get to the end, finish it. I'm like, oh man, that was amazing. And then she takes off her helmet and this green hair comes out. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious? This is a chick? I thought that was amazing. Like, I've never seen that before in a game. And back in the 80s, that was never in any game. First time I've ever seen it. It was definitely mind blowing. It was definitely an awesome reveal at the end and a great memory. So Samus Aran is my number one.
Yeah, that first
Nice.
game's not easy either, because I played through that, I don't know, it was probably a decade ago at this point, but it was well after it came out. That is a hard game to play through.
Those old NES games are so hard, and when I was a kid, I had nothing else to do but play these games. But like now, I play a game, and if I get stuck, I'm on Google, you know, I'm on the internet looking it up. But back then, there was nothing you could do. You just had to play it over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
until you
trial and
figured it
error.
out. Yeah.
Or
So
try to
that's,
find a strategy guide. You
yeah.
get ripped on if you use it. Yeah.
And really, the only thing I had back then, there was the tip line to call, and there was Nintendo Power. That was it.
Yeah.
So it was just trial
No
and error,
Game
like
Genie?
websites said. I think Game Genie was a little bit further down the road after Metroid. But definitely, what was cool about those NES games is when you beat them, you felt such a feeling of accomplishment of finishing these games. And I kind of miss that nowadays because now it's some of the games aren't as difficult, but I could see how they were really frustrating too back in the day. So it's give and take. But yeah, those old NES games are difficult, but seeing Samus Aran, seeing her take off her helmet was definitely a cool moment.
All right, Moose, you want to give us your number one?
Yeah, so I have a number one, and I also have an honorable mention. But so number one, I'm gonna say Lara Croft from Tomb Raider.
Nice.
And I see Muff giving his thumbs down. I don't know if he's pointing at his whistle or what he's doing, but the reason why she gets number one is because she's. We're talking about women in gaming or ladies in gaming, and she's like one of the
Icons.
most iconic out of all of them. Whether or not I played the games or gave a crap about the games is secondary in my opinion. But when you're thinking of, you know, your top women in gaming, she's got to be in somebody's list somewhere. So that's where I'm going to put her as number one because I don't know, this just kind of feels like it deserves to be there. My honorable mention is Miss Pac-Man.
That's a good version of Pac-Man.
I almost chose Lara Croft as my number two, but I went with GLaDOS.
I've
But
never
you're
played a
glad
Tomb
you
Raider
did.
game. Like, I know Tomb Raider was like huge in PlayStation, and I remember playing it in like a Funko Land, and I thought the controls were a little hard, so I just never went back to any game in the series ever. But the new ones look cool.
Even if you've never played a Tomb Raider game, you know who I'm talking about. So.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I probably barely played a Tomb Raider game ever. I know I definitely haven't ever bought one, so I don't have any that I own unless it was free on Games with Gold or something.
All right, so my number one, so again, has already been mentioned, but Samus from the Metroid series. Specifically, if I was going to pick out a one game, Metroid Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance is my favorite game out of that entire series. It's a remake of the first game, but it lowers the difficulty. It adds more like quality of life features. It looks amazing, and they added a sequence at the end where they introduced the Zero Suit Samus character when she's got that blue leotard, and they take away all of her abilities, and you're doing like this stealth section. And then when you get your equipment back and you're just blasting the space pirates, I mean, it was an awesome game. That's probably my favorite Game Boy Advance game ever. And that was just incredible. But yeah, I would put, right up there with Lara Croft as like iconic female character in gaming. And then if I was going to do some honorable mentions, I was picking more games where you were playing as the main female character, but some of the other games I thought of where maybe you played as a female character a little bit, but not the whole game. Eternal Darkness on the GameCube is an incredible game where you're kind of playing through a bunch of different characters in time, but they're all kind of linked back to this modern day female character. She's exploring more of, I think, like this curse within her family lineage. Odin Sphere for the PlayStation 2. Again, you're playing as multiple different characters, but kind of the main female character. That game was amazing. And then Final Fantasy VI. I think the main character you first play as, whose name is escaping me right now, But she's the first one you play, so a lot of people consider her the main character of Final Fantasy VI. But that's a big ensemble cast where you're playing as, there's like 10 different characters that you control. But yeah, Final Fantasy VI is one of my favorites. Did anybody else have any honorable mentions that they wanted to mention before we kind of wrap up this section?
Yuna from Final Fantasy X, maybe. That's about it.
All right.
What about
anybody else?
Cortana, Darkseid?
Who?
Mm-hmm.
Cortana from Halo?
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad option.
You like those robots?
Mhm.
All right. If nobody's got
I've
anything
got
else,
you need
What's
to
up,
calm
Muff?
down. I got a fleet of ladies driving my tanks, whooping that ass in World of Tanks. And then last week, World of Tanks, you're gonna have some update, and now my tanks nerf. Some bullshit. But you know what? There is an update tonight. I don't know what it is. I'll find out tomorrow though.
all right, there you have it, folks. So we're going to move on. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to cover up any other games that we played for the month of July. And then we're going to take a quick trivia game, and then I think we're going to close things out. So please stay tuned for the rest of the episode.
Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month.
And we are back, and we're going to talk about the games that we played in the month of July that didn't necessarily have anything to do with the theme of the month, but just other games we were playing at the time. Melbro, do you want to list the other game that you played?
Sure. So I bought the Mega Man X Mega Man X collection on Switch, and so as a part of that, I've always wanted to beat the Mega Man X games ever since I was a kid. I used to always go to Blockbuster and rent this game, never beat it. I would, every single week or like every other time I go to Blockbuster when I had a SNES, I would rent this game. And it's always just been a game I wanted to beat but never could. So I figured this would be a good time to do it. I did beat it, but man, this game is tough, man. Like $2 steak tough. Just tough as shit. And even in the Legacy collection, I was hoping that they would have some save states or something like that to make the the game a little easier. But no, it's really just kind of like the game was at SNES. So it's probably like a 3-hour game, but it took me probably 10 to 15 hours to beat it. Glad I finally knocked it out the way, but I'm definitely probably not a big fan of the Mega Man series. I know that probably there are a lot of people out there that are, but it's just too tough for me, man. But it was an enjoyable tough, but just glad that's over with.
Yeah, they're a different type of tough. Like when you think of modern tough games like Cuphead, I mean, you fight a boss. If you lose, you're right back in the boss fight. Where with Mega Man, if you make it to that boss and you can't beat him, you are doing that whole level over again.
Yeah,
and
it's punishing.
You got to beat that first boss you can to get their weapon, and then you got to pick and choose the other levels to play before you find a boss that's weak to that weapon. And then if you run out of that sub weapon, again, you're in the same position where you're screwed. So
Right.
they can be difficult to play through and pretty frustrating.
So was there no saving in that game? I don't think I played it.
Yeah, you can save. In between.
But not save states, right? Melvin?
Yeah,
You
not
said
save
that?
states.
But not
Yeah.
save
After the
states.
bosses, yeah. After each boss, you would get an option to save.
Okay. No, I know Mega Man's really tough. I don't think I've ever actually beat a Mega Man game.
All right, Melvin, did you have any other games?
No, that was it for me.
All right, Muff, you want to talk about the other games you had for the month of July?
I had one game. No idea even why I fucking played it. Eliminator Boat Duel. Probably rented it from the video store when I was a kid. Looked familiar.
Never returned it.
No, man. I know crooking. So I played. Try and talk.
The cross between a crook and a chicken?
I'm sorry, I do want to hear about Eliminator Boat Duel.
3.5 milks.
All right, there you have it, folks.
There you have it.
You played this on Nintendo Switch Online, right? So pretty much if you got a Switch, you probably have access to this game.
It was free, and I play a lot of free games because I ain't a rich man. But yeah, it's up inside the thing. When you hit the two little Nintendo controllers, they got probably about 20-something, 30 game up on there. Right now I'm playing the original Tecmo Bowl. And you know, it's licensing, but you playing the Tecmo Bowl, not Super Tecmo Bowl. And they got rid of all the names. They don't show no names no more. So I was like, well, that's all right. You know who LT is. So I played the Giants, and LT just run around field like a crazy man on cocaine. But he tearing it up, covering it all, sacking. So yeah, y'all should play some free games up on the Nintendo Switch.
Wait, now when you say they took out the names, what on Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo, did they have the actual names of the players, but they removed that for the free version on Nintendo Switch?
If you have the cartridge, like I got up in the 8-bit,
Yeah.
you got the names. But on the Switch, when you got the free game, they got rid of them names. Probably licensing expired. But if you played the game as a kid, you know who's who up inside there. Some reason, Walter Payton, they changed Walter Payton number 34 to 35. That's Neil Anderson. Neil Anderson wasn't back in that game. I don't know what's up with that. But you know it's still Payton. Got that little screen pass.
Did they retire his jersey? Is that why?
I don't know. There's another game, Roger Clemens, baseball back in the day. They did that. They didn't have all the license. Roger Clemens had his name, but them other guys, they do little versions of the name. Like when you look at the Texas Rangers, they got Ivan Rodriguez. They named him Pudge. That was his nickname. So they used that. And Juan Gonzalez, they just used Gonzo. So, boy, talk about your Pud. And so it's licensing. But if you go back on the Switch and play these games, they're going to have that stuff missing. But Eliminator Boat Duel, yeah.
Muffbonics, baby. Muffbonics at its finest, man.
I'm just surprised. Like, I'm legitimately surprised that they modified those games. I figured they were just like straight ROM dumps.
That's pretty common. Yeah, that's pretty common with like any sports games that get re-released. They have to kind of redo all the licenses agreements. So like if NBA Jam was just re-released on like an Arcane 1-Up machine, and like a lot of the players that were on the original ones aren't on there now. So that's pretty common.
They did that with like basketball games too. Like I remember like NBA Live, like Jordan was like nowhere to be found. Right. But they had a guy like him. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Moose, you want to go through the games that you played for July?
Yeah, so I played 2 games. One of them I don't want to talk about, but I will, reluctantly. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, which is like a, I don't know, what is it? What would you consider it? Like a prequel to Phantom Pain?
I mean, it was like, when it came out, it was like a demo that they charged. I forget how much it was, but it was like a demo that they charged.
It was like 2 to 3 hours, right?
It was
in my opinion, I've played all the Metal Gear Solid games, except for 4, actually. I haven't played 4. I did not like it. It reminded me of the mobile game, what was it, Peace Walker or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did not like that either, so... it was not very enjoyable. I happened to pick the game back up, and I was on like the last mission, I guess. So I just beat that mission, and I beat the game. The other game I actually want to talk about that kind of surprised me was Rime. I played that on Game Pass, and it's actually off Game Pass now. I think it left August 1. It was actually really surprisingly good, and the idea of the game, or like how the game flows, is basically it's almost like you're in a giant Zelda dungeon, is the way I can kind of explain it. And it's pretty easy. The puzzles aren't very difficult. There's no actual enemies that you can fight like directly. And it was pretty easy. I'm going to stress that. So if you want a challenge, this is not the game for you. So I wouldn't pay too much money for it. I mean, $5 is a kind of a no-brainer, but I wouldn't pay more than 10 if you're expecting a game with a lot of depth or anything. But I'd recommend it.
Was it like, I've heard comparisons to Ico or however you want to pronounce that. Was it similar to that?
I think the vibe is similar, but I would say it's probably a little bit shallower than that, than Eco or Ico. It's a simpler game, I would say.
Yeah, that's one that I've wanted to play for a while, but just have because I think it was free on PlayStation Plus at some point, but haven't got around to that.
Yep. Definitely check it out. If you're gonna pay for it and you're kind of on the fence, I would wait for a sale because it is short and it's easy.
You played that one too, Darkside? What did you think of that one?
Yeah, I did play it last year. I would say gameplay-wise, it is similar to Eco. It has the feel similar to Journey, if anybody's ever played that. But I liked it. It was a beautiful game, minimalist storytelling, and I got the platinum. No big deal.
All right, so I think that's wrapping up all the games that we played for July. So we're going to switch into our last segment here. So I got a quick trivia game for you guys. So what I'm looking for you guys, this is a list of multiplayer games. Well, all of them but one are multiplayer games. So there's 8 games, and you have to put them in order of how many characters you play as in the game. So one of the games you only play as one person, another game you play as 2, and 3, all the way down to 8. So you got to put them in order of the maximum of how many you can play as. So the games are, and you got to pay attention to what platform it's on, because that changes things too. So the games are Gauntlet 2 for the NES, X-Men for the arcade, Final Fight for the Super Nintendo, Power Stone for the Dreamcast, Super Smash Bros. Wii U for the Wii U, Bomberman 93 for the TurboGrafx 16.
Whoa.
What the hell?
Rock Band 3 for the Xbox 360.
There's a common theme here.
And then Secret of Mana for the Super Nintendo. So I know there's a lot of games I just listed, but put them in order from least to greatest of how many players can play simultaneously in the game.
These are all games that Brian enjoys or would have enjoyed if he played them.
All right, well, Rock Band 3, you could do drums, bass, 2 guitars.
And a singer, right?
Yeah. I think you could have multiple singers in 3. Brian, could you? Tell me. Tell me now.
I cannot tell you.
God damn it.
But you're on the right track.
I want to say you could have 3 singers in Guitar Hero 3. Or Rock Band 3. Did we say Rock Band 3?
Rock Band 3.
And Rock Band 3.
Yeah.
3 singers?
Yeah, because what's it called? Rock Band Beatles, you could have 3 singers, and Rock Band 3, I think, came after Beatles. I could be wrong.
So what is that? How many? 8? Is that 8?
I don't know. I named them off. Someone else is supposed to count, Muff.
Hey, I
Muff
want
can't
to
count.
comment about TurboGrafx 16. That was an amazing system.
I
You
was
ever
just-
played that? You ever
I
played
never
Keith
owned it.
Sweat and Alpha Zones?
I did play
That was a good game.
Say Keith Sweat.
I have played that launch game.
So if Rock Band 3 had 3 singers,
Yep.
bass, 2 guitars,
Wait, it had
drums.
a bass and 2 guitars, or were you counting the bass as one of the guitars?
I think it had 2 guitars and a bass.
Dude, what the hell?
And I put the list of the games in the chat so you guys can see it now. That'll
That
maybe
would
make
be
it a little
that
bit
would be
easier.
8 Darkside, I think.
Okay, so that would be 8 then.
Can you guys see in the chat? Do you need me to repeat all the games?
Yes.
All right. So you've got Gauntlet 2 for the NES, X-Men Arcade,
So that's 4. No,
That's
well, like
fun
how
on
many,
the NES.
how many characters you can choose from, or how many people can play together at the same time?
How many
Okay,
people
so I-
can play at the same time?
Oh
I-
shit!
Oh, okay.
SNES only have 1 player, or something weird.
Gauntlet 2 for the NES, I think it was just 2.
Yeah.
What about
Um,
Final Fight on the SNES? I want to say
Was
it's
Final Fight, I thought was 2 also. God damn it, Brian.
Me too.
I want to say it was 1 player, and that's what was weird about that version of the game.
X-Men Arcade, I think, was 3. Power Stone, I want to say was 4.
Power Stone was 4.
So wait, Brian, I guess a quick question. Do any of them overlap in number of players? Can we ask that question?
They do not. So there's 8 games, and there are 1 through 8 for simultaneous
got-
players.
Rock Band number 3 is 8th in line. I'm
What's
gonna put
one?
Final Fight 1.
Okay.
Which one you gonna do as one?
Final Fight on the SNES.
You feel strong about that?
I feel pretty confident. I remember it being weird, and I thought that was the reason.
That would mean the Bomberman is probably 2, because I don't recall being able to have more than 2 controllers on Turbo.
TurboGrafx 16 had more than 2. Is that?
You
I
might
didn't
have
have 2
4.
controller ports?
Had 4, I
Yeah.
think.
4?
I only recall 2.
Probably own 2.
I wasn't rich, so 2.
What was
I never
Secret
had
of
a
Mana?
Where does that put me?
So there's really a game out there that only 5 people can play?
That's right.
I would have thought Rock Band would have been that, but it doesn't line up.
That's probably the X-Man's.
Or a 7-person game?
Yeah,
Not
it's a
8?
7-person game.
I thought X-Men was a 3-player, but I don't
X-Men,
remember now.
I feel like X-Men is 4. I feel like it's 4.
All right, give us some hints, Brian.
Most-
Give us
All right,
a
all
couple
right.
of them.
So why don't you guys go in order? So what's your game that you think only has 1 player? Final Fight?
Final Fight.
That's what I'm guessing.
Final Fight, yeah.
All right, I'll give you one. That is correct. In Final Fight
Nice.
for the Super Nintendo, you could only play as 1 character.
All right, now does everybody bend the knee to me now, Melvin?
I think I want to say Secret of Mana is only 2.
We'll go for it.
It could either be 2 or 4, but I think you're right with 2. But I just don't know enough about the other games.
So why
I
don't
know
you guys?
that
So which game do you think has 2?
Say Secret of Mana.
Yeah,
I
agree
know
with
that Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U, nobody bought it, so that doesn't. that doesn't
That's not
count.
even a game, right? Did it even
Yeah.
What is it really called? Super Smash Bros. Wii U? It's not what it's really called, is it?
That is the official title of it. Super Smash Brothers for Wii U was the official title of that
I
game.
feel like Secret of Mana would be 2.
That is incorrect. I will
Oh,
give you
I would
that.
think it'd be
Incorrect.
Gauntlet 2.
that.
Okay.
Secret Man is 3, I think, actually.
Okay.
Gauntlet 2, Brian?
I will give a hint. Secret of Mana is 3 characters. So Spiral got that one.
Nice Spiral.
So
What was
what do you
number-
guys think has 2?
Let's see.
Bomberman.
I'm guessing Gauntlet 2, because I don't. Is there any NES games that have more than 2 players?
How would you have more?
If
than
it
2
ends up being
right?
Power Stone, because I know Power Stone 2 had 4-player, but if Power Stone 1 only had 2-player, that sucks.
They were
But-
both on Dreamcast, so
But NES, how would you hook up more than 2 controllers?
There
I
was a
guess?
multi-tap on NES.
Yeah, they did have a
Oh,
There was
okay.
multi-tap? Okay, I
There
didn't know
was.
that. Oh, shit. I got Final Fight. It's up for you guys for the rest.
All right, so you guys have Final Fight with 1, Secret of Mana with 3. I will say 2, you do not have right.
Do we have Rock Band right?
You do not have Rock Band right.
Christ.
Oh,
Wow.
So we need 2. What about X-Men for 2?
What?
One reason I have
The
X-Men
arcade
play-
mode?
I'm guessing it would be because how would you? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if it's an arcade, it's only 2-player, right?
But
No.
the arcade machine would normally have at least 4 set up, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd guess the arcade would be like 5 for some reason.
It might
But I
be.
don't
Yeah,
have
that's
a
true.
reason Besides just a guess. Like, pretty much here on out, I'd just be guessing, so I don't know. It's
What about
Rock Band 3 is
yeah.
at 7, maybe?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it depends
Yeah, that might
on...
be 7 then if the singers are only 2.
Brian, is Rock Band 3 at 7?
Rock Band 3 is 7.
Okay.
There
What are
are-
the? Yeah.
There is the 2 guitars, there's the drums, there's the piano,
Oh,
and
shit.
then there are
Ah.
3
Oh, the
vocalists.
piano.
Oh, there is
3
3
vocalists. Yep.
So two guitars, there's no bass, or is that counted in a bass?
Yeah, one bass, one lead
Oh,
guitar.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we got
Piano.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then we need 8, 6, 5, 4, and 2.
So the Bomberman on the Switch is 4-player, right?
Oh, Bomberman.
Yeah.
The Bomberman on Switch is 8.
8
Oh.
players. Shit. Okay, so is the Bomberman 8 players on this as well?
It is not.
Damn it, Mom.
Is Bomberman
Wait.
2, Brian?
It is
This
not.
X-Men arcade, we're
Oh,
talking about an
shit.
arcade cabinet, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
arcade cabinet.
I think there were 6.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Dang! Dark
There were
side, man.
different versions of the cabinet, but there was a big version that had 6 players.
All right.
All right, so you guys have 7, or you have 1, 3, 6, and 7. So you need 2, 4, 5, 8.
Okay, Smash Bros. I'm gonna say has 4.
That is incorrect.
That's
Damn it.
weird.
Bomberman's 8.
That is incorrect.
Bomberman's 2.
That is incorrect.
Gauntlet's 4.
That is
Smash
correct.
Bros.
It uses
It's
the
8.
adapter.
That is correct.
Dang.
Smash Bros.
The
8.
best.
Smash Bros is 8. That is
Ah.
correct.
Okay, so Darkseid, whatever you said was wrong.
All right.
No, I
Power
said-
Stone.
I
Brian,
said
Power
Gauntlet was
Stone
4.
is 2.
Power Stone is 2. The
Nice.
first Power Stone only supported 2 players. Power Stone 2 did support 4 players.
Yeah, you're right.
So what do
And
we
then
need
that-
now?
That just leaves the number 5, which leaves the last one with Bomberman 93.
Dang.
I believe-
5-player?
I believe there was a multi-tap that allowed you to hook up 4 more controllers. So you would have a multi-tap in one port and then just one controller in the other one. So it didn't support 8, it supported 5.
So who won, Brian?
We all won. We're
We're
all
all
winners.
winners.
Yeah, we're all a team, man.
Who are we doing this versus? Who won?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bash won. I'll quiz the Bash solo. I'll see how good he does on this stuff.
You'll probably get them all.
Yeah, you'll get them all.
All right, guys. So I think that's going to do it for this episode of Beat of the Month. If you want to give us any questions, any listener mail, we would love to hear from you. You can find us at beatofthemonth@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram, Discord, YouTube at Beat of the Month. Don't know how much content you're going to find out there right now, but, main focus, beatofthemonth@gmail.com. Send us a note. We'd love to hear from you. For the next month, our focus of Beat of the Month is going to be first-person shooters. So we're going to review, our favorite first-person shooters of all time. We're going to hopefully play some of those games, and then we'll be back in a month, and we hope to see you then. This is Brian, and I've been joined by the rest of the crew. And
Facebook and Twitters.
we will see you later.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Darkseid.
All right.
Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month. Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month.